Hello and welcome to Crushing the Meta. Today we are again with T-Boy.
Yep. So we are back with another deck profile. This time we'll do a fast deck profile for you guys. So in the last, let's say 3 months since the first reveal of the Rising Nova, we have done multiple videos on the channel, like reveals, deck profile, combo videos, standard, premium. But today, because some of you guys actually asked me, yo T-Boy, what is your favorite Rising Nova build? Today I will show you the build that I am playing right now, because there are no tournaments, they are not tops, but at least I could show you my favorite build. So it will be a fast deck profile, which we will talk about, like the deck, how it's shaped to be, and also some other choices that you could make, but pretty much mostly how the deck looks like. Alright, as you can see, of course, we finally have the dice for Spike Brothers.
How many do you have?
I have a lot, but and of course the playmat. So we have the amazing, beautiful Rising playmat with the Spike logo, Rising himself, as we have the one from Bull Spike and the logo as well. So let's go through the deck profile. If you are new to our channel, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the videos, and let us know in the comment section below if you are a real Spike with a fan. If you are, what is your favorite Spike with a unit of the V series? Alright, so there is no Rising deck without Rising.
No.
So of course we have the 4 copies of Rising Nova himself. It's an amazing card, it's your go-to card. I feel like I'm playing him in each deck, like in premium and standard. I have lots of copies of him, and he's in every deck. One of the most important things is that he of course gives you the Force 1 and Force 2, and because we have the ability to move the markers with Bull Spike, the Force 1 and Force 2 become very effective. So you could like get both of them on the regular circle, and you keep moving them together, and that creates a huge attack with of course having the Force 2, which is something that we missed in the past. We could choose between Force 1 and Force 2, and this makes things easier. We'll talk about his skill later, because we will come back and explain more. But then for the grade 2 lineup, we also play 3 copies of Bull Spike, 2 copies of the Spiking Cyclone, and we end with the 2 copies of Juggernaut Maximum. One of the cards that I first didn't want to play in the deck. I do love Juggernaut a lot, but for the reason that he makes the deck inconsistent. But after putting him in the deck, I felt like he actually makes the deck more flexible. Like now you could have a beater, which you could call from your deck, of course, way different than having a Braki. The 23-33 with a Force 2 marker makes a huge difference. And in this deck, because we also play 4 Wonder Boy and 3 Breach, you could put him back to the deck like each turn if you want to use him. So the grade 3 lineup looks like this. Again, we'll come back and explain it. Grade 2s, we have 4 copies of Rona, another card that of course deserves to be in SP. Another good card, the good thing about this card is differences between her and Ronaldo is that she could boost a grade 3. So she will never be at that card on the field. She will always be a good booster or just an amazing ride target. You could get Juggernaut with her, attack with it, put into the soul next turn. Like we all know that that combo that you do with her. Next we have the 4 copies of Braki. No standard deck without Braki. One of the most hated cards for Spike Brothers. People love him, some people hate him. Your opponent would like to get rid of him as fast as they can. You could also play 3, because you play the 2 Juggernaut, so you'll play 5 beaters. But I still like to play the 4, because it's just easier to get him to the hand. Rush with him, of course, in the early game, and he always gives you soul. Sometimes you could also call him in the back row if you already have him in your hand. Next turn goes to soul, and he will come again, bearing gifts, because he will be at 20k. Last but not least, grade 2, we have 3 copies of Breach. Excel clans are getting more and more powerful. One of the cards that's leave an empty regular circle behind him, so if your opponent plays something like a Narukami deck or some retired heavy deck or even Gradora, this is amazing. If you play against Protect 2, he's good because they have to intercept, but also he just gives you soul and a draw power. So there are other options that you could play in a grade 2 lineup, of course, but this is one of the best And because this is my favorite deck to play, this is one of the cards that I really love to play because he's evil. He's just like, attack, your opponent have to intercept. It's like, yo, no, you don't have the choice. You have to intercept. So, yeah. It makes him really nice to play. Grade 1s. 3 copies of Acrobat Verdi. There is no reason to play 4. Of course, he has the ability to become a 13k beater or a 13k booster, or just search up your grade 3s. But again, I didn't feel that it was necessary to play 4. Give you more space for more grade 3s because you play Juggernauts. 4 copies of Ambush Dexter. One of the most expensive SPs for Spike Brothers because he's a little bit short printed. So it's not that easy to get him. But yeah, after all, a very, very, very good card that we had in the set. Just could make the deck way more consistent. And the same goes for Wonder Boy. Gives you soul, put cards back to the bottom of the deck, cards that you need to call. So grade 1 lineup. So we play 11 grade 1, 11 grade 2s, and 11 grade 3s. Heal triggers, no Adelaide. No Adelaide, no way.
Only this cheerleader.
Yep, we play Tiara, Tiara all the way. Doesn't matter which flavor text you play. If you play Adelaide, do it. If you like it, just do it. But for me, no, just no.
Not even one?
Nope, not even one. She's way too ugly to play.
You disappointed there.
Yeah, no. I'm sorry, Adelaide. Nah, actually I'm not sorry. I just don't like Adelaide. Always said it was a bad joke, but if you guys love her, just play her. I mean, it does irritate your opponent a little bit and it's funny to play her. But for me, I love to see Tiara. I just dislike seeing Adelaide. We have the 4SP Merlin. Of course, there is, in my opinion, you could play Liar Lip, the 30k Sentinel, but I still think that it was more made for Protect clans, because Protect clans could always get Protect 1 to the hand, so they don't really need the perfect cards. In Spike Brothers, you love the draw triggers, but you also need to have that draw PG, because you have lots of grade 3s that you could discard, you have the quick shield you could discard, you have other draw triggers that you could discard, and it's okay to discard stuff like a Juggernaut if you want to put it back to your deck with something like a Wonder Boy. So it's good to have the perfect card in the deck, in my opinion. So the 4 copies of her, in my opinion, is good. You could play 3-on-1 with Liar Lip, up to you. 1 Pauline, I find the 7 crits on the 5 draws good. If you like to play 6-on-6, that's good as well. If you play 4-on-8, that's also alright. All the lineups are good, but I didn't find it necessary to play the 7 draws. I first started with that, I played 7 draws, then went back to 6, now to 5, because the crit is good. Sometimes it's good to put your opponent from 3 damage to 6 damage right away, especially the first time you ride into Rising. And the deck draws lots of cards, like with Spruits, with the skill of Full Spike. And if you keep drawing these, that's not much. It's not much shield, it's not a card that you want to have in your hand. And I usually, when I drive check this, I always draw a draw. So I don't want to draw herself with this, that's why I just also play one. Martin knows my pain. Alright, and then of course for the starter, we play the new starter because he's an SP and because he looks very, very, very good. Of course we have the quick shield and the markers, but that's pretty much up to you to play which quick shield you want and which markers you want. Alright, so now let's go back and explain a little bit about the deck and the other choices that you could make. Because for Spike Brothers, of course, there are a bunch of other choices that you could make. We have this beautiful binder right here where we have every card we want. Of course, there are some premium cards, but let's talk more about standard. So when we go to the other options that we have, for the grade 3s, the only other option that you really could play is of course the General Siegfried. And some people would like to play Wolf in the deck as well, because Bad and Dragger is not really a card that you want to put in this deck. It doesn't really work on this deck. General Siegfried is a good option if you dislike Spiking Cyclone or if you just want more grade 3s in your deck to target. Problem with General Siegfried is that those counter blasts you will never get back because the deck does not counter charge. So you'll be just focusing on heal. Also, he needs to hit for his ability to retire and restand. And you need to Soul Blast too. But the deck is already heavy on Soul because Rising, Soul Blast 1, and the Bull Spike that you usually target with him also Soul Blast on each attack. So you will be like Soul Blast 1, Soul Blast 2, then you Soul Blast 3 to move the markers to him, then you Soul Blast 2 more for him, so that's 5. Then you go back to the one that you restood, the Soul Blast 6, and then to the one that didn't attack yet. Soul Blast 7 in one turn is crazy. It's really a lot. Well, when you go with these two, what I normally do, if I target only these two, I put the markers on the rearguard circle, right? So you have your beautiful markers right here put on, let's say, this side. So you have them put on this rearguard circle. Now what you do is usually your field would look a little bit like this. So you have your first right target, whatever grade 1 it was, let's say it was Dexter. You have your starter, of course, still in the soul. So this is your starter. And then for the grade 2 right, you normally would like to go to Rona, get a Juggernaut, and then for your grade 3 right targets, you right into, of course, the Rising Nova. If you have another Dexter in hand, you could put this into your soul and you could get 2 more grade 3s. If you get these, you could just put them right there on the field. So this would be your field, right? Normally this would go to soul, you get a new Juggernaut.
Hello, Juggernaut.
Hello. Juggernaut loves to have his 10k. And your both markers will be on Juggernaut's side. So this will pretty much be your field. Doesn't matter what you have here, you could put this here, there, whatever you like. If you want to keep him, you could just do it like this. If you don't have another Supernova in hand, but you have a Bull Spike, so you want to go to Bull Spike next turn, because it's possible, because you'll be just making Force 1s. That's also good, because you could move Force 1 and Force 2. Then you will put him behind the rearguard. But pretty much, let's say that your field looks like this. Okay? Now, what you do is you attack with this first. Didn't pay any Soul Blast, only one for your skill of Nova. So let's Soul Blast 1. Let's put it right here. You attack with this. Then you attack with him. He gets extra 10k because of Spiking Cyclone. So then you activate the skill of Spiking Cyclone, Counter Blast, and Restand. And you don't move the markers to Rising. Rising is just attacking for a 23 without moving the markers. This is normally the attack that your opponent would take. If you attack with Siegfried, then you would move the markers because you want the attack to hit. If you don't, it's still good, but your opponent would still guard it. And then you attack with this again. And then you pay the Soul Blast to move the markers right here, and you attack with him. So you have only paid 2 Soul Blast in this whole turn, which is good because the deck don't really generate lots of soul. So that's the way that I like to play the deck. Like, I don't really put that much pressure, especially if you go second. If you go first, you could afford to go all out. And then yes, Siegfried will be good, but again, yeah, it depends on the situation. So that's for the grade 3s. Gunwolf, in my opinion, doesn't really fit to the deck the same as Bed and Tracker. Next, we have the grade 2s. There are a bunch of other choices that you could have, like Ronaldo is also a very good unit to run in the deck because he goes to the soul, or actually he puts a card from your hand to the soul, so you could call more rearguard. He could call random grade 3s to the field that you could target with Rising, but problem with him is you need to replace him with something from your hand because he's only a 10k, he already did his stuff. He costs soul, so that's a problem. And he doesn't really work in this deck. You could play him with like Ronaldo or Wisp Bouncer, but you could not really play him on his own. This is, of course, Barbaric is a very good unit to run, and mostly for the other grade 2, if you want to replace Brutes, then this would be the perfect card to run into the deck. And what you could also do is you could take one grade 3 out, or grade 1 out, and then you will be playing 4 Rona, 4 Braki, and then 2 on 2. So you could play 2 copies of this, 2 copies of this, or 2 on 2. That's also up to you. great ones. We also have a bunch of different ones we could play. Of course, I've seen people running Gyro Slinger again. Another good good unit to run to the deck. He gives you soul, and usually that is of course very good because the deck needs soul. But you could also call from the top 3, which could help to call your grade 3s, your beaters. The card that you calls also get an extra 5k, which means the attack that you restand will be stronger. So that's makes Gyro Slinger very good. Downside to Gyro Slinger is he himself will stay on the field and he will do nothing. Okay, he's a booster, but that's it.
He's just chilling there.
He's just chilling there. Snapper Devil, another good card. If you run out of soul for one counterblast, you could move the markers. Always good to ride into him. He has that hit pressure on your opponent. Offensive Sprinter costs you 2 soul because he himself moves out of the soul. And of course he costs a soul blast for his ability. If you don't play Siegfried, you could not really afford to play him because it costs too much soul. Commander Gary Cannon, a card that I'm a big fan of. Reasons is he put pressure on your opponents just in the early game. In the late game, he becomes unnecessary in the deck. That's why you have to choose between him and Wonder Boy. And that's pretty much it, because for the triggers, again, we said we will never play Adelaide. And one card that you could actually play is Liar Lips. You could take out like 1 Merlin to play a Liar Lip, or play 2 on 2. You could choose to take a crit out to play 1 more draw. That is also up to you.
Yeah, enough choices. So.
Yes. So that's actually it for the deck. So again, for my deck, we talk about the deck a little bit. So you could see that the deck is a little bit different than what we call the most consistent build. Now we also play Juggernaut and we play 1 less Bull Spike. Why do we do so? One more important thing is that we don't have tournaments. So we could play whatever we like and it's fine. So that's one of the reasons why I like to play this deck. Juggernaut's one of my favorite units. He's good, he's a good beat stick. And then when you go to the grade 2s, in a Force format, you will play Barbaric, because Barbaric gets lots of shield value, which is good against Force. When we will get into an XL format, you will see that Sprout becomes better. If you play in a Protect format, the promo will be better. So depend on which format you're going into, the choices could be different. Why do I play Sprout? Because he's an evil card. Attack with him, activate his ability, you could put a card to the bottom of your deck, which is not a trigger, so normally. But the good thing about that is you could just put like your Wonder Boy, you could put your, let's say Juggernaut, or you put Wonder Boy and then next turn you call the Wonder Boy will put the Juggernaut. That would work, which means you have only 2 Juggernauts, but you could keep recycling that 1 Juggernaut and you keep calling it over and over and over again, which makes the deck again very, very, very consistent. And then when we go to the grade 1, I chose for Wonder Boy because of the 2 Juggernauts. Normally I would choose for Commander Gary Cannon. Also, Wonder Boy isn't guarantee soul charge, and we don't really play that much of the retire heavy formats. Maybe now Shiryuki's back at 4 that people think we could see Yuga again. Maybe, we don't know. Again, we're not playing tournaments, so the deck doesn't have to be the most competitive, it's the most fun. And that's my favorite build to play. So we'd like to thank you all for watching. Thank you for tuning in our channel. Thank you, Fira, for helping us with the deck profile. And as I said, I'm really interested to see or to hear from you guys in the comment section below if Spike Brother is your favorite clan and what is your favorite unit. For me, it's of course Rising Star. It's the favorite unit of mine, and Rising in general, because Rising Star, Rising Nova, Supernova, all 3 are actually the same guy. All of them are Risings. It's just that he has different title. So it's a Star, or it's a Supernova, or it's just Exceptional Expertise Rising Nova. Doesn't matter. All of them are Nova. All of them are my favorite. Thank you for watching. Until next time.
Bye bye.